Hey everyone, I'm on the top of Titterstone Clee Hill. I'm going to make a series of videos up here because it's so beautiful. I'm going to walk very steadily, because I remember I did that before and it shook a bit. So just do small steps and let's see what happens. I love the sound of the snow under my feet. Can you hear this? So my friend Dr. Justin Marchiagani, who has a YouTube channel, Justin Health, known him for probably 6 years, no, 6 years now, gave me 2 ideas for titles. And the one I'm going to talk about, which is when you pay attention. And that's when people become clients. The amount of accountability to changing their life is enormous compared to those that just watch videos and say, oh yeah, I've done a bit of tapping because I've tapped on a few of your videos, or I've tapped on a few other people's videos, or I've applied to something that I got for free. But the difference is when you pay, oh my goodness, the shifts are incredible. And that's because you're making a commitment, not just with me, you're making a commitment with yourself to changing your life. You're holding yourself accountable. And then you're going to use all of these tools, everything that we do in sessions and outside of sessions, to change your life. And everyone can change their life. Everybody, you know. It just takes that commitment, that decision. There's a time in everybody's life when they just go, I can't stand this anymore. I can't do it anymore. And then something just clicks inside and you just decide to change. And yes, people do it without these tools, but these tools make it much easier. And when people do change, sometimes they have a lot of resistance to doing that, and the change that goes on is uncomfortable, and it takes time, and they're trawling trauma, you could say, really, along with their transformation. Because the reason that somebody doesn't transform is because they're stuck in trauma. It's trauma and limited belief conditioning. And somebody asked me the other day in Canada, what's the difference? I call limited belief conditioning your dysfunctional family. And most people come from one. I think it's been written 85% of us to 95% of us comes from a dysfunctional family. So the family dynamic had various ways of dealing with life, and they weren't all highly resourceful. And so we learn that stuff. We either learn it unconsciously through great pain, or we learn through consciously through small pain. But it all gets embedded deeply at the unconscious, and they become beliefs about ourselves and about the world, and they're limiting. So that's what I call limited belief conditioning. It's like mini traumas. You know, I've had clients that are anorexic and bulimic, and we've trawled it all the way back just to one comment that their father has said to them. One comment. Such as, you know, oh, you don't get too fat. Bang, that's it. They can't get it out of their head. They're traumatized with that comment. And you could say, is that a big trauma? Well, to some people it's not. To other people it's enormous. There's a very famous reality star, Nikki Graham, has just died from anorexia. She was on Big Brother years ago. I think she was an Enneagram type 4, not very healthy Enneagram type 4, who was struggling with anorexia, and unfortunately she's passed away now. And she would have downloaded information in her life that would have made her feel that she had to look a certain way in order to be loved. That's what anorexia and bulimia is. So it's having that control over their weight, which is actually not control. It's the unconscious being way over the top, to the point that they've got no rationality anymore, and they'll literally kill themselves, making themselves so thin to gain that love and approval outside of themselves. It'll never work. It'll never work, ever. And so you've got limited belief conditioning, and then you've got traumas. And traumas, are things like car accidents, things like getting attacked, things like being stalked or followed, or, it's like a big event. But a lot of us really download lots of small events, lots of mini traumas, and they all get stored in the unconscious, and the unconscious is on the lookout to protect you. So it stores that information. Now, if we're going to change our lives, we can begin to digest this stuff and process it, but it has to be done at an unconscious level. I know people have counselling and psychotherapy, but that's consciously talking about something that's very unconscious. I had 4 years of counselling, and I had some psychotherapy as well, and nothing was as powerful as this work that I practice, which is why I do this work. I did think for a while about being a counsellor or a psychotherapist, but it just wasn't as powerful. People weren't recovering from serious disease like they do with this work. There's a book called The Healing Code by a man called Dermot O'Connor that I bought in 2006 when I was studying down in London, and he used tapping, and that was under the chapter Taking Charge of Emotions. And he also used NLP, which is the first part of the chapter in the book, which is called Is Your Mind Ready to Be Well? So it's the psychology. And what I'm doing is the NLP, and also using the Enneagram, which is determining your ego, and using that as part of psychology. And then the emotional side is using EFT. I also use hypnosis, and there's a technique called havening, and another technique called EMIT, which is eye movement integration therapy. And you can use all of these tools in order to be able to reduce the emotional intensity that goes on in somebody. And when you do that, guess what? You create more being, more peace, more ease, and issues begin to melt away. Rather like the snow will melt away when it gets warmer. So when people pay, they pay attention. They pay attention to themselves, and they pay attention to using these techniques for growth, for transforming their lives, for changing, real change, and that's permanent change. I'm never going to go back to where I once was. There's a saying in NLP, once your unconscious mind expands to a new possibility, a new horizon, it can't shrink back. You've literally opened up your path, you opened up your mind. I said to a client recently, a very wealthy multimillionaire, I said, statistically, millionaires that lose everything will make it back because their unconscious mind has already gone to that place. It's like winning a Grand Prix in Formula One or scoring a goal as a Premiership footballer. Once you break your duck, your brain starts going, oh, well, I can do that now. It's like me. Am I ever going to get afraid of making videos again? There was once a time when I was terrified of making videos. And now I'm not afraid whatsoever. My mind can't shrink back to, oh no, I'm afraid of making videos. It's just to pick up the camera and I just point and shoot and talk. Anyone can do it, but lots of people have fears about this. I couldn't. All this unconscious baggage saying, I can't do it. Some people say, do you make notes? No, I don't have any notes. This is just 15 years worth of experience that's coming out of my mouth. and probably 25 years, if not 30 years, well, 30 years since I was 16 years old, and I went on the path to healing, which started when I was 16. So it's all just stuff that I know. It's just flowing out of me. I've mastered that. And so there's a saying, heard Ed Sheeran say it, but I knew it before. In order to master something, you need to put 10,000 hours into it. And I've put at least 10,000 hours into this, if not more. And that's why I don't need notes. So, when you pay attention. You pay attention to your life, and you pay attention to truly changing. It's that simple. I did it, and that's why it worked for me, and that's why I do it with other people.